Finally tonight, Kentucky fans are celebrating their latest basketball championship. But the team's dominance is reviving questions about what it takes and what it costs to assemble a winning team. Monday night's victory capped a remarkable season for the national champion Kentucky Wildcats. The team was led by 3 freshman starters, including National Player of the Year Anthony Davis. But Monday's title game may be their last in a college uniform. Next season, most are expected to trade higher education for pro ball. In an effort to keep athletes in college, the National Basketball Association decreed in 2005 that players have to be 19 and at least 1 year out of high school before they turn pro. NCAA President Mark Emmert says he thinks the one and done rule simply doesn't work, but he says he can't change it since it's part of an NBA labor agreement. Just last week, NBA Commissioner David Stern argued that the NCAA could create other incentives for players to stay in school, but today he said he would eventually like to raise the entry age for new players. We take a closer look with Kevin Blackistone, a professor of journalism at the University of Maryland and a commentator on ESPN, and Jerry Tipton of the Lexington Herald-Leader. He's been covering Kentucky basketball for 4 decades. Jerry Tipton, congratulations to all those Kentucky fans down there. Is this rule making it less likely for student athletes to stay students?
Well, yeah. I mean, you take anybody's college experience, and if they're in college 1 year versus 4 years, it's just vastly different. And Kentucky, the officials and even the fans are not completely happy with the situation as it is. But you know, when you win the national championship, that eases any concerns you have.
Does it ease concerns when they know they're going to have to start from scratch again next season with a whole new crop of players?
Well, they have some experience at that. Darius Miller, he's a one of 2 seniors on this year's team. We counted up how many teammates he's had in his 4 seasons, and the number's 40. So they have basically had a new team each season and had a lot of success each season.
A lot of success on the court, but is this good for the game or for the students, Kevin?
Well, it's certainly not good for students. It makes a mockery of higher education. Anytime you have someone come in who the NCAA wants to call a student athlete, and the fact is they only have to stay eligible for a short period of time in order to play basketball and then leave straight for the NBA, it makes a mockery of higher education. Is it good for the game? It's great for college basketball. These are the highest TV ratings they've had since 2005 this year. It brings in something like $750 million in revenues, March Madness does, to the NCAA. And as far as the NBA is concerned, it gives them a year of free tutelage for talent that will be coming into the league. So it's great for basketball, and fans love it. That's why everybody tuned in last night to see this freshman phenom, Anthony Davis.
Everyone's talking about what happened last night in New Orleans at the final, but I wonder whether one and done is not something that goes beyond Kentucky. Is this widespread? Is this now widely accepted?
It is widely accepted. It's not just Kentucky that's doing it. I think John Calipari gets the finger pointed at him because he's had so many players who have been one and done. But it's happened at Duke, which everyone thinks of as a bastion of higher education, which certainly it is. But Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, has had it happen there. It's part and parcel of the way basketball is going these days, and the reason is because of the money that it generates and how it benefits everybody around it, including fans who love to see this thing, and those of us in the media who continue to write about it.
Jerry Tipton, we heard that the NBA is saying, well, you know, this is really something the NCAA could fix, and we have the NCAA saying we are powerless because that's an NBA rule, a circular argument going on there.
Well, it's sort of like passing the buck, but the NCAA really doesn't have control. This is a pro rule that they're dealing with. I can remember this has been several decades ago when a player named Spencer Haywood sued for the right to turn pro out of high school. I think at that time, and I may be wrong, but I believe it was 4 years out of high school before you could turn pro. Right. He went the legal route and won the right to go. So the one and done is something of a compromise, and it's the world, as Kevin suggested, it's the world we live in.
So do we go back to the way it used to be where you could just get drafted out of high school? Why bother to go to college at all?
You're absolutely right. That's the way it should be. I mean, if people want to get into the phrase un-American, this is about as un-American as it could be. Clearly, there are industries.
To force the students to even go to school for even 1 year.
Exactly. If you have the ability to earn large sums of money in whatever endeavor you choose, why should you have to go to college in order to do it if someone is ready to pay you immediately? Now, clearly, there are industries in this country that have age limitations, but there are some real reasons for that. We're not talking about brain surgery here. We're talking about basketball. If you're 6'10", 6'11", can run with the wind, can jump to the heavens, and can score points and rebounds and do all of that, you know what? You should be able to garner a living immediately after that. And if you want to go to college, you can still go to college. You can pay and go to school. That's fine.
Gwen, the model that you hear people mention is college baseball, where coming out of high school, a player would have the option of turning pro immediately or making a 3-year commitment to college before being eligible for the baseball draft. That would be sort of the ideal. How we get from where we are to there, I really don't know.
Jerry, do we know whether college administrators, those who presumably are focused primarily on academics, whether they object to this strenuously, whether they try to change it?
Well, I have asked the Kentucky president who hired John Calipari and his successor who came aboard a year ago that very question. And what you get is a way to rationalize what we have. The former president said that if Kentucky did not take these kind of players, that their competitors would. So, and that's probably true. And when I asked the new president, he basically tried to point out that while the players are on campus for that year, they are monitored and they are required to be students, or at least make an attempt there for that year.
And Kevin, do you hear any pushback at all coming from academics?
Oh, sure. There's the Drake group that's out there. There are people who are involved with the Knight Commission on Intercollegiate Athletics who are very concerned about this thing. But, you know, at the end of the day, you look at Kentucky, you look at the state of Kentucky and a basketball program like that's at Louisville, and you realize that they're bringing in $27 million net revenue at the University of Louisville through basketball in a state which is cutting back, just like most other states, on higher education funding. So what is a president and a chancellor to do? They are looking for streams of revenue, and this is one of them, and they're not likely to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Let me ask you both. Jerry, starting with you, finally, how aggressively is the NBA playing a role in this? Are they basically pulling up chairs at the side of basketball courts and just waiting for these students?
Well, of course, they're happy to wait. They get if the longer they wait, the more mature player they get, the more seasoned player they get, and the more marketable player they get, because the longer the player is in college, the more fans become aware of them. Someone like Anthony Davis, he's going to be a player that the pro fans will want to watch. If he were to stay at Kentucky 2 or 3 years, you know, that appetite would only grow more and more to see him play in the NBA.
Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the NBA doesn't want to get rid of this rule. They want to strengthen it. You know, they want to move it to 2 years before you can come into the league. And the NBA Players Association is behind this as well, because that means less competition for their membership.
Kevin Blackistone, Jerry Tipton, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.